she ushers you all into the teleportation room, opens it up. It's a big door. But she takes you inside. She says, all right, it's 8 at a time. It's going to take 2 groups. And she looks at your part of the group. She says, it's up to you. I'm going first. We can bring a couple others. Would you rather be the first in or the second?
I'll be the first, but we all probably shouldn't be the first. Is there any way to get word if we walk into an ambush?
She says, perhaps. She kind of looks at the Cabal folks, and they kind of give her a nod. They say, we could have one of them scry on us. A willing target makes that easier. They could at least get a sense of what we're seeing on the other side.
Let's do it then, just to be safe. Lena, you come in the second group then.
Okay.
I think it's worth being careful. It does risk extra delay if there is anything waiting for us, but the delay might be the difference anyways. So she specifically assigns a couple people from the Cabal on both sides of this arrangement, however you guys are doing it, to make sure that they have the more powerful mages who can use such magic ready to go.
Crash, what do you think? Reading bros go first?
He's muted again. But he said reading bros. And then he said
I-
something.
He was about to tell you he
mouthed
wasn't
it.
muted.
Yeah.
I was about to say I didn't say reading bros out loud. I would have mouthed it because that's what I was doing. But yes, I was muted again
Yep.
because my damn dog won't stop pawing.
You're really committed to mouthing it, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, hey, I'm method. You've made me break character now.
I know, in this most important moment, I did that, and I'm
Yes.
sorry. Or you did it by
It's-
muting yourself. Either way.
I don't know. So Lena's definitely going in the second group. Isaac's definitely going to the first group. Did we heard the word on Tessian or Grail yet?
I would
Tessian's
imagine
gonna
Tessa's going
stick-
in the second group.
Tessian's gonna go with Lena.
And
Yeah,
Grail,
that's what I assumed.
And Grail is going with Isaac.
Okay.
I didn't want to go in the first group, but I don't think I can't now.
Why?
I don't know, because I don't feel like that's the thing I would do. I don't feel like I'm last into the breach. Yeah. I will go with the first group.
Crash, as we're like preparing to do this, I appreciate it. Remind me when we get back, we need to do like a special handshake. I'm thinking we hit our wrists together. That'd be pretty cool, but we could talk about that later. Maybe think about it. Maybe not during the fight. Maybe after the fight. Special handshake.
Yes,
And I
special
just kind of
handshake.
like get ready as I'm talking.
So Cass gathers Isaac, Grail, Karash, 2 of the Cabal's men, and 2 of the regular guards in the first party. She kind of gives everybody one last look. She says, it is pretty unprecedented to go through these without an invitation, but of course we have an invitation. And she kind of taps this. She's got this strap over her shoulder with a cylindrical tube kind of over her left breast. And she kind of pats it, and she says, we have an invitation. The Empress has given us permission to do this, but the people on the other side aren't going to know that until we present it. So again, just make sure. Weapons at the ready. Don't draw them, but have your hands near them. And we'll react to whatever we see.
Lena, another message. If I don't make it out, please write a letter to Ayla McPherson, the author of Tales of the Gunslinger. Tell her I enjoyed her work. She can cut the explicit sex scenes, though, in the future.
Like, this
Don't-
is the first time I'm hearing this. I'm like, what?
Don't. And you can tell Isaac's nervous because he's talking a lot.
Yeah.
I don't need to hear about the gunslinger's rod every few pages.
Yeah.
So
The Colt 45 is not the only gun he's slinging.
yeah.
And I give you a nod. I say, yes, I'll probably add my own strongly worded letters or words to that, but yes.
Okay, great.
Tessian chuckles because he knows that those were Thea's favorite parts.
There's this moment where you see the other guardsmen kind of looking at each other like, what?
I'm
But-
going to lean into Grail and go, what is an explicit sex scene?
I reckon we'll tell you when you're older, Crash.
Is it just like sex, but they talk about it? I don't understand.
Well, I'm not quite as into the books as our friend Isaac is here, but let's just say they don't spare any details. There's a lot more than you might find just regular sex.
It's just sex.
All right, we're ready. Cass, go ahead and.
Faustrided has escaped by now.
Have I ever been in a teleportation circle?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, we have as a party.
Yep.
Go ahead and send us off. I don't much like this part, but
This probably would have been your first had you not rolled 3 natural 20s into Lycidian much earlier than expected.
cool.
But as it turns out, yeah, you guys used one to and from Lycidian between there and Harnstead. So you also know what to expect as a result, and as the 8 of you step inside this large circle, there's that now sort of familiar. It's not happened so many times that you're like used to it, but at least you know what's coming, where the runes all activate. There's a nice bright light, and you feel your stomach drop. Even though your physical form doesn't move whatsoever, you just kind of feel this pit
Yeah, I know.
as this sudden shift takes place.
I grab Grell's hand. I don't like this part.
Yeah,
It's like falling off a building.
it's unsettling. In a way, it's almost worse this time because you know it's coming. So like you're bracing yourself, but bracing yourself doesn't help. It's like when you brace yourself in a car accident, you make it worse because you don't go with the flow of the motion. But there's that just kind of fleeting seconds at most that feel much longer than you're sure they are before your vision fades from the previous room and opens to pitch darkness. You hear a whisper from Cash. She says, "Okay, well, this is interesting. Do you mind if we light it up?"
No, by all means. We're not dead yet, so that's a good sign.
She gestures. She kind of like, well, you can't see her gesture. She taps one of the Cabal on the shoulders and has him cast dancing lights just to get the vicinity. And what you see, at least in the immediate area, because he wants to start small and go bigger from there, this room is unfamiliar to you, Isaac. Wherever it is inside of the Dryden Manor is a place you have not been. Whether it was a forbidden one or one you didn't know existed or whatever the circumstances might be, you look around even just at the immediate area and go, this is a large room and one I do not recognize at all.
But I would know. I've never been in there, so like that makes sense.
Yeah, it's telling, at least in some ways. Again, it's not like you're in a bedroom. You're not.
Yeah.
You have not. You're not entirely sure where you're at. But again, it eliminates a good 2/3 or 3/4 of the place because you roamed about many of the floors and the hallways and all the empty rooms that had nothing in them when you were a kid, especially. But everybody who's there, make a perception check.
And
Graham as
Tessian
well.
is turning to the guys, and he's just like,
2.
he's telling them to scry.
Yeah, and they're starting to prepare the spell.
16.
Here we go.
Grail rolled a 2. I don't remember what her plus is
Oh,
offhand.
no.
I
Yeah, I
haven't
don't
pulled up
think
her
it's gonna
stuff, but
matter.
it don't matter. Yeah,
19!
Wow.
I will go pull it up if
Nice.
when it matters. 19
Crash.
and 16, right?
Yep.
As the two of you look around the limited area that you can see from this smaller spell, because it seems like they wanted to start small and then go bigger from there. It's hard to make out exactly what this is. Excuse me. But it looks like equipment of some sort. And Isaac, as you're looking at it more closely, it looks like at least some of the stuff that you can see in this immediate radius where this light is casting. There's a table with straps on it.
Excellent.
Karash, as you're just looking about this immediate vicinity, you are at least familiar enough with healing medicine and curative work that you recognize what appear to be surgical tools on a tray alongside another table. Everything is made out of what feels like familiar metal alloys at this point, sort of like the interior of the room you slept in last night, of Lorraine's study that have those special properties. It looks almost like a modern day room of sorts. Maybe like a coroner's office. Those don't exist in this world, but now everything inside is clean as a whistle. There is no signs of recent use of any human blood or detritus or anything else that might be in the area tipping off that like something was experimented on here or murdered or killed or whatever. But there's still, it's an interesting room to say the least. Cass at this point gestures back to the member of the Cabal to now ramp up the light, and he casts light to increase this scene of the room.
And he saw that it was good.
And it is good. At this point, the other group now, the Alabaster Cabal member finishes his scry spell. Let me look at one thing on scry real quick. I know we get a plus to this based on familiarity. Or a minus to the DC. Same thing.
So I don't see anything weird like a bomb or something.
Not yet.
Okay.
You also don't see any sign of
Go
life
back.
as far as like people.
Yeah.
He completes the scrying spell, and you see his pupils kind of like disappear for a moment. And he seems to just be elsewhere. It's akin to a much gentler version of Doctor Strange going through, 14 million and 5. But you can kind of just see his head ever so slightly like twitching as he seems to be like looking through something. And he gets the same view of this room, essentially, at least a short-range version that you guys do. The extra light in the room for the first group that's gone through reveals that the room isn't quite as large as you might have suspected when you first came in. I mean, it's like, 100 by 60 or so. It's a good-sized room. There's a bunch of cabinets along two of the walls that seem to have more supplies in them. Can't make them out from this distance. Could go look potentially, but at least from here, looks like jars, some other things like that. Can't make it out.
What about any like desks, safes, anything like that?
Doesn't seem to be down here.
Okay.
The guy who's scrying turns back to the group and says, well, they weren't attacked when they went in, and the room seems to be empty. It should be safe to step through.
Tessian steps onto the circle with Lena and waits for
Yep.
them to get on too.
Okay. So you guys all go through the same experience. Pit and stomach, momentary disorientation. And as your vision clears, you now find yourself in the lit room. Matches the way it was described, at least as far as he could see in the immediate area. What would you guys like to do?
If I look down, the rune set is there. Like, this is the portal we were supposed to exit on?
It appears to be, yeah.
Okay.
I want to go check out what leads up, so the door that leads into the mansion.
Okay. There is only one door out of the room, seemingly. And as you go over to it, it is locked.
Okay.
I'm going to cast Detect Magic just to be on the safe side.
Okay. Is that 60 feet or 30?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Push my glasses at my nose and
Excuse me, I'm not wearing my glasses. Don't make fun of me.
30 feet. I got you,
What
Phil.
he said. There you go.
But it does
It's
last a bit, so you can have
10
it on.
minutes.
Yeah, you can have it on as you kind of wander the room.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I will say, see, again, this is weird, but because of the 30 feet thing, I want to at least give you the chance. Make an Arcana check.
Mother of God.
I mean, by cord!
If you could get within 30 feet of anything that's magic ever, I would just give these things to you because that's what the spell does, but that's not how this works.
Also, -2 Arcana. Let's do this.
You've done it. You're 2 for 2 so far.
All right.
Come on.
You wasted the natural
go.
ones.
I've got so many open things right now. This isn't. Oh, hey, the Anachroschism. There we are.
Hey.
18. So 16, but close enough.
As Isaac makes his way over to the door and is checking that, and Grail kind of follows along with him. Karash, as you can kind of hear the others teleport into the room behind you, you're starting to make your way around the room, just kind of looking at stuff and seeing if anything seems off. You are attuned to the presence of magic. Something feels like it is tugging at you. And it's in the direction of what appears to be a standalone cabinet, maybe 8 feet tall, 4 feet wide, on the far side of the room, opposite where the door is, with basically the teleportation circle in the middle to give you a sense of the room. Let me see. Can I give you a school?
Make it up. You're the DM.
I think I can give you one. I just need to look up what this thing is. Shit. Give me 1 second. Apologies.
Also, every time you said send a letter to somebody today, send a letter, Maria, address it to my wife. Also, that song is about a dude telling his mistress to write a letter to his wife about his relationship. I don't think he's a good person. Not relevant, but I'm vamping. So,
Yeah, that doesn't seem great.
nah, not great. I mean, I know my mistress, I never have them contact my ex-wife or my wife, whatever. That was funny until I brought my actual ex-wife into it. That just got weird. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I didn't automatically assume.
Karash, as you get closer to this cabinet, sensing something off in this direction. God, my voice is shot today. It's been a long week. You sense enchantment magic, but it's not in the cabinet. It's behind it somewhere.
Are we behaving as though we need to be super duper quiet right now, or?
That's entirely up to you.
Well, no, I mean, like, I guess I'm taking the lead from whoever's running the show, and I ain't running it. So
Cass and company are kind of looking through the room. They seem to be keeping at least relatively stealthy, especially until they have a better sense of what's happening. So, kind of.
Okay, and are we all here, or is it? No, we're all here.
We're
at
all
this
here
point.
now.
Basically, as you're finishing this sense of what's over there, and before you have a chance to investigate, the last of the group teleports in.
We're gonna
Karash,
make the pointed eye contact and like wave everybody over to me. That's important to me, which is just you guys.
what's going on, Karash?
What do you see?
Something behind that cabinet. It is some form of enchantment magic. I believe we should at least take a look and see what it is before we move on.
I think we can, for what it's worth, and Chris, I would say that we want to be as quiet as possible, but this was my father's secret lair, if you will. I tried throughout my entire youth to figure out what the hell was going on down here. Never saw or heard anything. I think it's relatively soundproof. Let's be careful, but I think we can definitely move this without worrying too much.
Okay. Is it something that looks like it's gonna? I would look first and foremost, because I know we are in a secret layer, to see if it is in fact like a cabinet that will secretly swing out or something, or there's a button on the wall or that sort of shenanigan.
Make an investigation check.
I didn't want to do that.
I
It's
will do
terrible.
that too.
God, why did it have to be investigation?
Grail would ask you, Isaac, if you would rather have her start working on the door or to help with this.
Well, Cass, I'm assuming the plan was to bring him back through the teleportation circle if he goes willingly.
She says, yes.
So-
You want the quickest transit possible so that there's no chance for anybody to be alerted.
I don't know that we need to fuss with the door, and last time we did, you almost died, so I don't know if that's the best plan.
She says, well, it's, I suppose, up to you, but if he's going to come from the train, he may not come down here for some time, if at all. We need to have at least some people posted by the front entrance as well at some point. We can wait until whatever you're doing over there, but...
Sure, maybe take some of the cabal with you, and they can serve as your backup, extra set of eyes.
And she sort of just, like, to get it out of the way quickly, like, asks you if you know where you are in the mansion. No. So it's like, we need to get a sense of where we are and where the front entrance is so we can post-watch.
Now, I might have an idea, right? If the door is, like, I've seen the other side of the door, I would think, that leads down here. But I guess I would say I would tell her where the door is located, but that if it goes into a hallway that wraps around the house and then comes in here, I have no way of knowing.
Mm-hmm.
So I give her the general idea of where I think we are.
Okay. So, seeing as I am not actually Grail, what would you have Grail do?
I would say take some members of the Cabal and try to figure it out very carefully and slowly based on her previous experience.
Okay.
If Lena and Tessian agree with that.
Tessian straight up asks the Cabal if they're capable of dispelling magic.
And they nod and they go over and check the door. It does not appear to be magically trapped.
Interesting. Okay. Well, then it's up to Grail, I suppose.
Now,
to
I
try
will-
to disarm it from this side.
The only problem is I will say I'm... Okay, Chris, let me know if I would know this. I'm not convinced that the door upstairs from earlier was magic or if it was like a current, like a tech device that shot electricity through her.
Like a lot of other things in this world, it's both.
Okay.
There is a magical component to it. So in theory, they would likely have detected it if it was possible.
Gotcha. Yep. Okay. I would explain that, but
Yeah.
that's a good sign.
There's no guarantees, but these are pretty powerful mages, and as such, their detection skills should be thorough enough to at least ensure that there's nothing in the immediate vicinity.
Okay.
Well, then we don't know where we are. The door you were looking for before is not this one.
No, it could be. I don't know that it was ever magically sealed. By the time I was audacious enough to try a more bold method of getting through, I was no longer in the mansion. It's a pretty obedient kid, unfortunately.
But you said that when Grail touched it last time, it was trapped.
Oh, upstairs. Different door.
Ah.
Yeah. Different door,
Nice.
different room. We should be... Chris, let me know if I'm wrong. From what I understood, this is like under the house where this is. Like in the basement area.
You don't know for sure.
Okay.
If this connects to that study, the other
Yeah.
room upstairs that you had never been able to get into, it's possible, but you have no way of knowing right now.
Okay.
Well, how's it going over there, Karash?
Yeah, say investigation checks, and we'll have her make a dexterity check.
Fabulously.
I
With the
rolled
thieves'
a-
tools,
I got a 5,
I
so
rolled a
my
13.
attention is split, and I haven't really looked that hard.
17.
Damn, Karash MVP.
Crash is the highest then, right? 17?
Yeah, I
You know
got
that
a
right?
13.
Okay. You guys kind of start pouring over this cabinet. Inside, there are, well, with that result, 2 potions of healing,
Hey.
and the rest of the cabinet appears to be bandages, sutures, other healing implements of sorts. But as the three of you are all kind of canvassing this and trying to see if there's any, false backing or a drawer with a mechanism inside of it, Karash, you kind of lean up against it a little bit more just to see, like, can you tilt it? Could you push it over if you wanted to? And as you do so, it gives, but not as though it's going to tip. It slides and reveals a passageway behind it.
Can I still grab those?
If you would like to
I
grab
was going to
those.
say, please do.
Yes, you may.
Yes.
I'm gonna straight up. I'll grab some of the healing supplies too, and just kind of like shove them in my bag. Yeah. I'm gonna like look around, like secret door.
Yeah, Tessian will cast light on his little brooch, and he's gonna go in.
I'll go with
what's back
Tessian.
there.
And I'll say,
Yeah.
God, secret lair to the secret lair. My father truly is so banal.
It is a tight hallway, and it takes going single file to get into this small chamber that lies up ahead. And for Karash, who's not too much bigger than like an Isaac, for example, but it's a little bit of a tight fit. You can fit, but not squeezing or anything, but it is just kind of like uncomfortably close on all sides. It leads about 20 feet in at that width before opening into a small chamber, maybe no more than 10 feet across. There's barely enough room for the four of you to even enter it if you so choose. In the... What's up?
I was gonna say no more magic is being detected as we approach it.
Well, the thing you're detecting continues to get stronger as you move down the hallway.
Yikes.
Okay.
At the end of the said hallway, in the center of that room, as you look up ahead through the hallway, and I need a marching order for this because you guys are single file.
I would have presumably gone first because I was against it.
Should be Karash, Tessian, Isaac,
I was investigating the
stuff.
bookshelf too, so I'm probably
Lena
going
Grail.
I mean, it would probably be, I would say, Crash, Tessian, Lena,
Okay.
Isaac, since you were kind of caught between the two.
Sure.
And Grail's over the door.
Oh, yeah, so Grail's not here at all.
Yeah, she's. I have a check for her with Thieves' Tool on the door, so we'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
But she's working on that right now. So Karash in the front, you are blocking everyone's view, but you see as you approach the end of the hallway before you go into the room, there is some kind of circular dais in the center of this small round chamber that is still no taller than the hallway that leads into it. It just opens up a bit to where there's just enough room to maybe walk around the exterior of this circular, ornately shaped column that has some kind of, from this distance, this looks like an orb, maybe like a little bit bigger than softball sized in the middle of it. And that is indeed the source of whatever has tipped off your detect magic. Whatever enchantment you were sensing, it is now emanating from the object in the center of this room.
I just had a thought. Let me gather my dignity real quick. I can detect it. Do I have a sense of whether or not it is currently making an enchantment or if it is just itself an object of magic?
Oh, it is currently making a big enchantment.
Oh, lovely. And what's the size on this bad boy?
The orb?
Yes.
It's a little bigger than a softball.
Okay, okay. Boy,
It's
wow.
Yeah.
I heard that, and yet somehow, okay.
We're in the room, right?
What?
If you'd
We're
like
in
to
the
step,
room.
If you'd like to step
Yeah.
in.
Yeah. I'm gonna.
I recognize it.
Tessian, Karash, what is that?
I do not know who has the bag of holding.
that
Scoop
would
that
be
bad
me.
boy up.
I hold up the bag of holding. But maybe
Uh,
we shouldn't touch it first. It looks like it's doing something.
And as you've gotten up next to it now, you can see it's black on the exterior from like a distance, but inside you see this swirling dark purple, almost black energy just tumbling around inside the orb to the point where it's enough that it's almost filling up to the brim, up to the surface of this orb. It's almost like it's clear, and on the inside it's filled almost to the brim with this swirling cloud of energy of some kind. You're not entirely sure what to make of it. Everybody can make an Arcana check if they'd like.
Yes.
It is some sort of enchantment magic, but I do not know what. But if it is here, I do not think we should allow him to keep it.
I don't disagree, but I don't know if we should just touch it without...
I didn't
at
say
least-
touch it.
Well, it makes sense that Jason has the highest.
Let's see how terrible
Let's
this
see how
is.
Karash does, though.
Well, let's keep it low.
All right,
Really?
so Tessian, what is this?
I got a 19.
A 19.
I rolled an 11.
10 for what it's worth.
A couple things.
I'm looking at the orb and I'm distracted heavily.
Yeah. Ooh, orb. A couple things stand out to you, Tessian. You're not entirely sure what magic this is. nor have you really heard of anything like this. But what you can tell from it is twofold. One, this orb is attached to the pedestal. It's built into it, and the pedestal is in the ground, to where it's surrounded by these like black. I don't know how you would describe it as, but like this thick black metal is wrapped around it on 4 sides, that is sort of holding it in place, and just from your familiarity with magic, which is really the highest of the group because you're the most studied about it. Like maybe your magical inclination is not the highest, but you're just the most well-read about it. You can just feel that having exposed it and now walked next to it, this is giving off something currently in a radius that is much wider than this room. Whatever effect this is having or whatever this is doing, it fills this room to the brim, but it feels like it's expanding far beyond it, to the point at which the scope is beyond your grasp at this point, but it certainly, certainly moves well outside this chamber, through the walls perhaps, you're not entirely sure. But this is a strange effect, and one that you don't really know much about.
Can I piece together whether the orb could actually be separated from the dais, or like examining it, whether that's like the runes, the nature of it? Is the orb itself simply being held in place, or is it just part of a greater contraption, I guess is the question.
The orb seems to be held in place. Whatever is supplying magic to it or its source, it's not like... I mean, Isaac doesn't know, or Tessian doesn't know this, but like Isaac, when he was looking around, saw some runes on the inside of that handprint mechanism that seemed like they could be what was set off when it was activated. There's no runes on the pedestal in any way. The magic seems to be just within the orb itself. Looking at it, it does look like it's pretty firmly rooted in place. It could be removed with force, potentially, but it's hard to say.
I know a guy.
If I think it's possible for us to remove this, whatever this is, and I don't know that I like the sound of the enchantment magic, but it's affecting far more than this room and this area. This could be something on a large scale, larger than this building, perhaps. It could be miles. If we're going to touch this, though, I don't know. We need to be careful. I don't think we should destroy this. I think whatever magic is in here is extremely powerful. We might be able to take the bag of holding and sort of cleave the orb free and then put it in. That might be the safest.
That is what I think we should do.
We
We
can
can
try
try
it.
to pry it off.
Whatever we do, we don't have a lot of time, so let's go for it.
Does anybody have a crowbar handy?
Honestly, I think the answer is no.
I think the only one who might is not with us currently, so...
Use the handle to like your axe or something. Your axe?
Except I don't have an axe, so
Mace?
I'm with you right up to that point.
Okay.
And my axe.
And my doesn't exist. What? I think I have at a minimum. I have a sword and I have my mace. I'm nobody has anything that's short, stumpy, and like a pry bar or a heavy piece. Okay, I'm just gonna jam the butt end of my mace into this bad boy and try and get underneath it and pop it off.
Pop what off?
Pop the orb off the pedestal.
But the orb is held in place by like iron rungs or whatever. So
yeah,
like,
and that's what we have the badass dragon for here, is to pop stuff off of things.
but
On
like
your brutes.
But no, but like if this is the orb, it's like wrapped around. You can't pop it out.
Well, I'm saying, like, if it's so, I guess that's the question. Can we? Because can I get underneath it and have something to leverage against it beneath it, or is it did not close the pedestal itself? Just the little dots that are rot welded spots or whatever.
I mean, the question is, are you committed to trying to pry it out or not?
Yes, I'm committed to trying to pry this out because I'm smart.
I mean, what I will say is the opening between the iron even close to the size of the orb itself? I would guess not. So unless you're actually prying to bend the metal.
I was that I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what it is and it's not possible to do. So if I have to use the tip of my knife or sword, fine. I think I have a knife on me. I'll try. I could use that. I don't care. I just need, like, I'm going to use an implement to try and pry at it if that is feasible. If it is not feasible, then I will use my goddamn hands because I, again, don't care.
Why don't we just try to hack it? I mean, it's held in place on iron. Why don't we just try to cut the iron?
Because we don't have any cut. What? We don't have anything strong enough to cut metal with right now.
I mean, you're trying to do what you want to do. Tessian's taking a few steps back and pulling Lena with him.
I'm just saying, cracking a couple welds is way easier than it is to try and hack through wrought iron.
Okay. It's going to take, just from looking at it, you can at least tell this much. It's going to take something thin to get in between the iron spires and the orb itself. It is relatively flush with the orb. So anything like a handle or something is definitely not getting in there.
I have daggers, but that's the best I can do. I don't.
Does anybody? Okay, I will borrow. Can I borrow a dagger?
Sure thing, buddy.
All right.
Seeing that this is going to take forever, I am going to run back really quick and see what Grail is up to if she needs any help really quick. But the base is metal too, Chris?
Yeah.
Okay, just double checking. Okay.
Appears to be lodged on the floor.
I got if I owe Lena a dagger shortly.
Make me an athletics check with disadvantage. Because you are doing something very big with something very tiny.
25!
Nice.
My ears.
You keep making the mic go hot, Mike.
What I do.
You gotta calm down.
I'm happy. Leave me alone.
We have 25 with disadvantage is 18.
Yeah.
18, 19.
I was a 26, 25.
You take Lena's knife and you use all of Cord's strength to wedge it in between the very, very small gap between the orb and the spire holding it in place. And as the knife makes contact with the orb, I need you to make a charisma saving throw.
I wondered if that was going to happen. I was hoping it was going to be electricity, but I forgot it's enchantment. All right, charisma
The
saving.
good news is it's charisma.
Yeah. Well, hold on. That's with disadvantage. I guess the first one was an 18.
Yeah, you can just take the first.
Yeah.
18.
Oh, God. That's pretty good. Here's hoping.
Is a success. You watch as you slide the knife in and wedge it in there best you can with your strength. The clouds inside the orb start swirling more and more violently, faster and faster within the surface of the circle of the orb. There's this moment where you feel something kind of off with your head, but you're able to shrug it off, and seems to be okay. You've gotten the knife in.
Oh, the 25 was just to get the knife in?
Uh-huh.
Oh, Christ.
I think
All
you're
right.
I think you're overestimating a knife blade's ability to pry an orb out from a inch-thick iron spire.
Hey, man. It doesn't mean I shouldn't try.
Hey, you can go for the second half of it too, but
All
you're only
right,
halfway there. Whoa,
Is that disadvantage also?
that is, yes.
All right. Athletics again?
Mm-hmm.
We're 10 feet back.
Now.
It's not going to explode. There you go.
You're so
15
convinced.
feet back.
Yeah.
15 feet back.
25
17.
feet back.
Not bad.
17.
That is not bad, Garash. Good work.
You, having wedged the dagger in, now start to pull back, trying to apply as much leverage as you can with the handle as you grip it close to the surface of the orb. And you can feel it giving a little bit, and the dagger snaps. It feels like,
Wow.
based on this, it's possible it would take time and another dagger, because that one's now broken, and you can remove that from your inventory.
Okay. Excellent.
I've got money. I will get you a new dagger.
Yeah, they're cheap. They're really cheap.
Well, this is awkward.
We'll come back in a second. Isaac, as you head out to the main room,
Yeah.
you see folks are still kind of looking around at cabinets and whatnot. There's a couple of people, along with Cass, kind of perched by the door watching Grail work her handiwork with her thieves' tools. And as you walk over, she says, "This is a hell of a lock. I'm making progress on it, but might take a couple more minutes. I have a couple of the pins secured, but I'm still working on it."
Couple minutes is fine. I think we're well ahead of schedule. And I talk to Cass and I say, if he's coming back, any word yet if he's boarded any trains to what's this town? Timberbrook. Or if any are happen to be on their way, if he eluded detection.
She says, "Well, we decided to send a couple of guardsmen onto the train itself, but they won't reach Timberbrook until later. We had to send them to the next closest city with a teleportation circle, but we don't have any way of knowing, at least for the next maybe, 45 minutes or so.
Okay.
And we didn't want to have too many people asking about as far as if he was taking the train, because, again, that risked tipping him off."
Should be fine, Grell. Don't rush. We'd have to be extraordinarily lucky for him to come in these two specific windows.
She kind of nods. She's distracted, sort of, as she's doing so. She's, finagling with the tools. She says, "Well, I don't know if I could rush if I wanted to. Whoever put this on this door definitely didn't mean for people to come through it without permission."
And I'll go back and check on the other group. I tell her what they're doing, and then I go back.
Okay. Back to the other group.
Yeah.